If you could give one piece of advice to every single youth hockey coach out there about coaching goalies, what would it be?
I'd have to say, honestly, just developing a relationship with the athletes that you're working with. So take a little bit of time to get to know your goalies. It's always huge when they have a shoulder to lean on, or someone that they can talk to about stuff that may not even have to do with hockey. Goalies live so much in their mind, and they are a little bit of a man or a woman on an island. So when they're in the crease and they're playing the game and they've got all these crazy thoughts going through their heads, it's a lot to deal with. It's a very mental and emotionally draining position. So anytime that you can take a little bit of time to get to know your goalies a little bit off the ice, joke with them a little bit, alleviate some of that pressure that they may be feeling internally to stop every puck, it can go a really long way. It can help them relax. It's going to help them perform better, and they're going to want to work harder for you as a coach. So that's probably my biggest piece of advice: is get to know your goalies a little bit away from hockey and develop that relationship and that friendship first. You got to remember, these are human beings.
Yeah.
They're not machines. And if you can't develop that friendship away from the X's and O's, it's hard for the goalie. They feel shut off a little bit. They can't always go to their parents. The parents don't understand. They can't always go to their teammates. They don't want to look weak in front of their teammate. But if they can resonate with the coach and they can connect with the coach on a personal level, man, it helps a young goalie so much, because there's so much anxiety with the position.
How many shots should goalies be getting during a practice? Is it quantity or quality?
It's absolutely quality over quantity. I think every goalie is going to be different. And it definitely depends on your role. So if you're the starting goalie and you're playing a lot of games and you're 3/4 of the way through the season, maybe you're going to want to manage that shot count a little bit and take a few less shots, because you're trying to manage your energy levels over the course of a long season. And it doesn't matter if you're a AAA, U12 team, or you're a major junior team. I mean, you're playing a lot of games, you're on the ice a lot, you're managing your off-ice life as well. So always quality over quantity. There's also a lot of research being done right now within the goalie community about managing our hips. And we're seeing that a lot of younger goalies are having more hip issues, and older goalies are having to go in to have surgery, torn labrums, all these different issues that are coming up with the hips. So the less shots that you can take in practice and the more that you can maximize the quality of the drills that you're doing and the quality of the shots that you're seeing, it's definitely going to pay off in the long run, because we want our goalies playing until their mid-30s without any issues. But right now, because of how many times we're butterflying, how many shots we're seeing, that becomes a huge issue over the course of many years. So always quality first. Every goalie, of course, is different, but generally speaking, you want to focus on quality for sure. You can accomplish a lot in a practice without butterflying 800 times. One of the big keys to success right now at the higher levels is being able to keep your feet and hold your edges and make saves, on your skates. And so if we can start to reinforce that with a lot of the younger goalies out there and with a lot of the head coaches, hey, you don't have to butterfly on every single shot. Put shots into their chest, put shots into their hands where they can stand up and make that save without, executing a full-blown butterfly. And if you can get a lot of those shots into your routine during practice, you're managing your hips, you are having more quality over quantity, and you're still being able to focus on tracking pucks into your body, activating your hands, making sure you're square to puck. So you can accomplish a lot of the same things by making saves on your skates without having the wear and tear on the hips by butterflying on every single shot that you see.
What do you think most youth hockey coaches lack when they work on developing their goalies?
Patience, first and foremost. It is extremely difficult because every single goalie out there learns differently, and they all have a different learning curve. And there's going to be some skills that translate well with their athletic ability, and some skills that may take much, much longer for them to, fully grasp. So first and foremost, if you're going to be coaching goalies and maybe you don't have a goalie coaching background, you have to have patience. That's a pretty straightforward answer. I would say the next thing is, as a coach, you know that you have to continually be willing to learn. Don't be afraid to talk to your goalie about certain techniques that you may not understand. This is a way to reinforce the goalie to learn for himself. So if the goalie is teaching you one or two things, he has to reinforce some of the same things that he's trying to learn himself. So it kind of works backwards. And this is a great opportunity to, one, reinforce the relationship that I spoke about earlier. You build that relationship because the student understands that you don't have all the answers. And if you don't come from a goalie coaching background, you're not expected to have all the answers. So it's kind of a learn by trial process, and you guys learn together and you evolve together and you develop together. And that's a great cohesive relationship, because every time a goalie goes out on the ice, he's going to learn something new. Whether he feels it a certain way or he faces a different type of a shot in practice from a different type of a player, that learning process is continually happening. The evolution of his positioning, how he tracks pucks, how he moves into shot lanes, everything is constantly evolving. So the process is a very long one. This is why goalies don't evolve or reach their full potential until their late 20s. So the coach has to understand that it's not going to be one season, it's not going to be 1 week where this advanced skill is going to be mastered. It takes months, it takes years, and it takes that body awareness most importantly. So patience is definitely the most important skill for a hockey coach to have when working with young goalies.
What advice would you give to a goaltender that gets easily frustrated?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really good positive feedback that you can give goalies. I mean, first of all, you're going to get scored on. It happens to every goalie at every level, every single day of their lives. So giving up bad goals is part of being a goaltender. Always look forward. Never worry about what happened in the past. You can't control what's already happened. So just focus on the next shot. Everyone is very forgiving out there. You may be really hard on yourself, but what matters most to your teammates and your coach is that you put forth 100% effort. And if you're too worried about how you look or because you gave up a crappy goal, your focus isn't where it should be, which is on the present and on making that next save. So just be willing to understand that you're going to give up bad goals. I mean, hockey is a crazy sport. Crazy things happen. Pucks do really weird things out there. And if you can't cope with the fact that you may have an unfortunate bounce, or you may have just slightly missed tracking that puck, or you could have made that save and you didn't, well, it's not the end of the world. Everyone makes mistakes. And you got to be able to cope with that, because it is a grind being a goaltender, and you're going to face way more pressure in your future than you are right now. So always focus on the present and always focus on the next shot, because that's the one that really matters.
What common physical qualities do the best goalies in the world have?
Physically, body control. Body control is everything. It's not always about how strong you are or how fast you are or how quick your reflexes are. It's all about being able to control your movements and being set and square and at the right place at the right time. So the more that you can become aware of how your body moves and what you need to do to position yourself correctly, whether it's the VH on a post or the reverse VH, or you can play a little bit deeper because you've got a longer torso and a big upper body. I mean, the more that you are aware of what your body's capable of doing and what its limits are, and maybe some areas where you're not as strong and you continue to work on those, that's going to increase everything about your game plan. It's going to improve everything about your game plan. It's going to allow you to know how to manage 2-on-1 plays. It's going to help you understand how to be solid on your post plays and on your post integrations. So body awareness and body control, I think, is what you see with all of the great goalies in the NHL. They know exactly what they need to do and how they need to do it to be successful, no matter what situation they're facing, and they're not guessing out there. They know what their body is capable of doing. They know how to fill space in certain areas. And that body awareness and that body control allows goalies to have their unique style but still have success. And that's why you see the Henrik Lundqvists versus the Jonathan Quicks. They're extremely different athletes because they have extremely different bodies, but because they put so much time and energy and focus on, managing their body and knowing what they need to do to have success, the awareness that they have translates to control. And when you have control, you're going to have success stopping pucks.
What common mental qualities do the best goalies in the world have?
I would say probably one of the biggest things is just always being in the present. I know I kind of said that earlier, but it's so important to not dwell on the past. You have to have extreme discipline with your mental and your emotional approach on a day-to-day basis. You have to have a routine. You have to know what your goals are, short-term and long-term, and you have to have dreams. And if you don't have dreams and you don't have passion, it doesn't matter how talented you are, you're not going to achieve greatness. But I think the best goalies in the world that I've come across, guys like Brian Elliott, who have seen the ups and downs, have been through so many different situations and still continues to grind it out and still continues to rely on his routine and manage his body and do all of these little things that it takes to have success at the highest levels. I mean, that's why these guys are where they are. I would say that's the toughest part of becoming a pro goaltender, is being able to trust that process and continue to do it day in and day out, even when things are going great, but especially when you're really facing an uphill battle, whether it's something that has to do with hockey or something to do completely unrelated that's just personal life stuff. You have to find a way to have the discipline to bring 100% effort every day, every practice, every shot, every game.
What advice would you give to every single goaltender out there, no matter their age or skill level?
One thing I really want to stress to goalies at all levels is the difference between, so let's say the situation is you had a really bad game, okay? Or you played well, but you still lost because your team didn't score enough goals or they just didn't have a great effort. There's a huge difference between coming off the ice angry / upset or unsatisfied. And the way I explain this is, if you come off the ice angry or upset, that's going to become an emotional drain on you, and it's going to take you longer to move past that and get ready for tomorrow. If you come off the ice unsatisfied, now you're willing yourself to work harder tomorrow, next practice. So this is how goalies start to distinguish and understand how they have to manage their mental and their emotional game, because that's 75% of goaltending. You have your 25%, which is the physical and the technical side, but none of that is going to translate to consistency and success if you can't manage the emotional and the mental side. So goalies, if you're out there and you've just had a really bad game or you just gave up a terrible goal, don't allow yourself to come off the ice angry or upset. Don't allow the negative circumstances of a game to follow you around like a shadow off the ice, because what happens when you come off the ice upset? You're upset at your coach for no reason. You're pissed off when you're driving home from the rink. You're not going to focus on getting your schoolwork done, and you're going to be pissed off the next day, and it's going to follow you around like a shadow. But if you come off the ice unsatisfied and knowing that you could have done better and you will be better tomorrow, now you're motivating yourself to work harder the next day, and that's the kind of mindset a goalie needs, and that's the type of mindset all the best goalies in the NHL have. They can be angry, but they usually leave that anger on the ice. They don't allow it to follow them around after the game's been played. So I think that's a really important something really important for young goalies to distinguish the difference between being angry / upset and being unsatisfied with your performance and knowing that you can be better, and then having the ability to work hard tomorrow.